What is good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, and we've got Coop back in the booth. Coop, let's talk about Big 12 rankings, man. How you been?
Bro, it's Bedlam. It's Bedlam week, man. I'm excited because you see the beginning of the week start out as a oh god, here we go again. But now you start, there's stats I've kind of engulfed myself in and listened to other pods and listened to other contributors. So now I'm ready to roll, bro. It's Bedlam. 90, 19, and 7. This is our time.
90, 19, and 7. Good God, that's ridiculous. And as Coop mentioned, we've talked about the Bedlam game. We've got our predictions and previews here. Definitely go watch that video. While you're here, hit the like and the subscribe button. Please come join the family if you're a Sooner fan or even a Big 12 fan. We're expanding the content, and we're going to be talking a lot more about these Big 12 teams until we, of course, go to the SEC, and then we'll be talking about them even more. And share, because sharing is caring. If you're listening to us on the podcast, give us 5 stars wherever your podcasts are downloaded and listened to. And if you don't think we deserve it, just give us 5 anyway and gift it. Stop playing around. With that, though, cool. Let's talk about some of these Big 12 and start ranking some of these teams, man. So the Big 12 is really in I guess you could say, a slight conundrum. The way that every team is beating each other up. And if you look at the way the Big 12 is set up, you've got, of course, TCU, who's at the lead. And we talked about this last week. Who did we predict to win the conference? And we both still have TCU number 1. Kansas State's right behind them at 5-2. Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Texas are tied at 4-3. And then Texas Tech and Kansas are 3-4. The last 2, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Iowa State, we won't talk about them because they're mathematically eliminated from going to the Big 12 championship. But the others are not. And initially, after the Kansas State game and the TCU loss that Oklahoma took, I kind of said that it was going to look like a purple Big 12 championship, and we might go that direction. So, cool. I know you did some rankings and stuff and put all it together. Who you got at the top? Who you got at the bottom? Who do you think is going to win this conference?
I still think the 2 playing in Dallas are going to be K-State and TCU. I'm going to rock your world a little bit. I think Kansas State walks away with it. I think
they upset them
in the game. I don't think it's called an upset. They had a sizable lead late in the game when they first played, and they couldn't do what it took. Will Howard is playing out of his ever-loving mind right now. And
you're right.
When Adrian Martinez came back, it still just didn't look correct. And then this past week, they went down and they stomped Baylor. They stomped Baylor in every phase of the game. It was the second most impressive victory of them this year behind the Oklahoma State game. So what happens? I think that they have that in their mind. They know that they can beat them. TCU played a pretty clean game in that game, and they were lucky to come back. And so that's what I'm saying is I think that it's going to be Kansas State. It's going to be a purple Big 12 championship game, and I believe that's that first weekend in December, and it's going to be on ABC. So we're going to see that game. And it's going to be the 11 o'clock slot with Kansas State showing up and winning.
Man, that's an interesting take. Okay. So you're right. Kansas State did have a nice little lead on TCU, and then they kind of just, it away.
Just didn't.
But they just couldn't close.
Yeah.
And the big thing with the TCU thing, everybody's pointed this out. You all listening now have probably seen this at least once or twice on the interweb somewhere. The TCU has to take out your quarterback for them to beat you. And we think that, they basically took out every quarterback they played up until last week, and they didn't have to take out Quinn Ewers. He just sucked. So you have to worry about taking him out. They just made sure that he didn't perform. And it seemed like he did not perform in that game. Or they did take him out, and we just didn't realize that that wasn't him. Like, he was like an out-of-body experience type thing. I'm not sure.
Dude, The
If that's
hair,
how that
though, I don't
works.
know. I don't know. It's still there.
Well, yeah, it's true. He did have the Mike Gundy going, and I'm guessing that I don't know. I was wondering if his power was there or if he should cut it. Because I know, like with Samson, the power was in the hair, he cut it off, and he
I
lost
got
it.
you.
But then he probably should. I don't know. It feels like he should cut it, and that may actually give him power. It's weird. He's just not playing good. But we're going to talk about Texas another time once we get to their game. But so as for me, I do still have TCU as the top team. I think Kansas State is right there behind them. I think Baylor moves up. This was the game that I think that TCU might lose. Will be this week, and we're going to talk about each game in just a moment. But I think Baylor takes a step up while Oklahoma State moves a step down. Kansas, Texas Tech, Texas, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and then Iowa State. Now, Oklahoma did lose to West Virginia, but I do not think that West Virginia is a better team than Oklahoma. That was more of a, they just didn't close. And coffee is for closers only. So, Coop, let's talk about the games real quick. Let's give a quick prediction on some of these Big 12 games and see what the people thinks, right? While you're here, folks, jump in the comments, hit the like, subscribe button. We want your love. We want you part of the family. Jump on in here. Get in there in the comments and let us know your prediction for each of these games as we go through them. If you need to post multiple times, post multiple times. We love the engagement and we love your support because we love you. We do this for you, the people. So, Baylor versus TCU. Baylor's at the crib. They are a 2.5-point dogs at home against TCU. How you feeling in this game?
Different than I used to. Watching what K-State did last week, like I said, it was just rough. Baylor is just not. They're not elite at the quarterback spot. They got a little bit of carousel with the running backs between Squirrel and the other two cats.
Richard Reed?
Reese.
Reese.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, their backside is not very good either. So I see Quentin Johnson having another big game. He continues to slowly get a little bit healthier. Kendre Miller, he is, I believe he's number 2 in rushing yards in the Big 12. I think that Baylor has an issue with stopping the run if you take it to the outside, or if you commit inside, you can move those big guys off. So I'm going to go with TCU. Again, it is more that I am just upset with what I'm seeing from Baylor because I had higher hopes that Jeff Grimes' offense, Dave Aranda led defense, like it's got to be rough for him because we know what it's like over here on the Sooner side, but between Aranda and Jeff Grimes, like they see glimpses and then they see him just disappear.
Yeah. No, and you're right there. It's whew. You can tell that they're well coached. Mm-hmm. I'll say that about Baylor. While at the same time, they just don't have the talent right now. They just don't have the players to be able to just execute fully on what needs to be done. That game was bad. That Kansas State game was bad, 31-3. But I think they bounced back. I initially had this as the game that TCU would lose. I'm going to still keep it there. I think Baylor pulls the upset. I'm going to say this is an upset at the 31-28 number. And TCU knocks out Baylor's starting quarterback, Shappen. And when they take him out, the backup goes in and cooks him. That's all right. We'll go with that. What you got?
I got you. Well, I mean, it's 10 wins, no losses versus 6-4. But if you are a true football fan and you see Baylor win, this sounds, contradictory, but I don't think anybody really gets like too surprised by that if that does happen.
Right. Yeah. I'm totally seeing it. Kyron Drones is going to be the backup quarterback he's a freshman at Baylor, 6'2", 223. Ooh, he's a big boy too. Yeah, he's probably going to be the one that's going to go in there and he going to cook them after they knock out Chapin in that game. So that's my prediction for that one. Hop in the comments, let us know yours. Next game. You know we got to talk about Kansas versus Texas. Texas is traveling all the way up to Lawrence, Kansas, and they're going to play against the Jayhawks. So far, it looks like Jalen Daniels will be back. That's not a 100%, but there is a very good chance that we will have a Jalen Daniels sighting. If we have a Jalen Daniels sighting in this game, I do not think that Texas gets close to this spread. I think Texas loses this game because Kansas defense is still pretty solid, even with Kobe Bryant out. Their biggest issue has been overall that they've got to get better quarterback play. And I think that they get better quarterback play with Daniels back on the field. So how you feeling about this game, Coop?
In the Bible, yeah, I'm going to start it out that way. Okay, in the Bible, there's a story called the prodigal son. And I think that Kansas fans are calling for Texas to come home to daddy. I think Kansas knows without a shadow of a doubt that all they got to do is get in these Charmin soft Longhorns heads and they will get the win. Here's the thing is, everybody said after the Alabama game, Quinn Ewers was going to be something great. And if he would have stayed healthy, we would have beat him. Last week, they were saying, thank God Arch Manning is coming in next year. We talked in the green room. Roschon and Bijan, if they get down a little bit, all of a sudden they're thinking about April in the NFL draft. It's time to roll out. I'll be able to afford my own Ferrari or Porsche or whatever. That hammy starts acting up. I got this cramp somewhere in my body. It's like when I ask my kids, they're making excuses about going to bed. I'm like, what hurts? They're like, oh, my knee. And so that's what I think is going to be. There's rumors about my knee has a fever. I pulled my blinker fluid. But there's the rumors about Xavier Worthy potentially transferring out to
rumor alert
Tebow. So here's what I think. I think that Texas's defense has been helping them out quite a bit. And if Kansas can go out there and play with an aggressive nature, again, Kansas is bowl eligible. 7-4 and 6-5. There's no difference to them. They just want to go out there and put it down on their kid, which is Texas. So I'm picking Kansas here, and I think that we see something along the lines of a 38-20 type of win for Kansas.
I like. So hop in the comments. Give us your score prediction for this game, Kansas versus Texas. I'm going to call it for Kansas in this game just because I just love saying it. Kansas beats, and that's the thing that really pisses off Texas fans. I think Kansas pulls off the W, and they win with a score of 38-35 on a last-minute field goal. And Jalen Daniels returns magically and shows out in this game, in his return. What's your score?
I think I just said 38-25, something
there
like that.
38-25. There we go.
I said a score just a second ago. I just think that it's I think it's a close game. They stop Texas, and then they go down and they score another touchdown and just remind them who their daddy is.
Coming back to daddy. That is going to be the Kansas and Texas motto going forward. Okay. Next game. Iowa State, Texas Tech. This one's going to probably be an ugly game because I don't think either. Tech has had a okay season. I don't think they're that good. Correction. I don't think they're good at all. I think that they're good at making upsets. I don't think they're a very good team. They did beat Kansas last week, and Bean did get hurt, so that helps out a lot. They're traveling to Ames. And as of right now, Iowa State's a 3.5-point favorite at the crib. And you talked about this in the green room about how it's like Tech, wins games they shouldn't, and then loses the games they're supposed to win. It's like it always balances itself out in some capacity. This one does not feel like one where they should win because they're not supposed to. It just feels like they're just gonna lose. What's your initial assessment when it comes to this Tech game?
You know, when you go on social media and some mom is like, I sure love my family, and you see the pictures of the kids, and you're like, oh, a face a mother could love. This is what the Big 12 thinks about this game. This is just, hey, can we just get this thing out there, get it done? I just do not think that this is going to be a pretty game. Here's what I do have. Can you tell me, without looking, how many receptions Xavier Hutchinson has on the year?
Oh, this year? 25?
97. Xavier
What?
Hutchinson, 97 for 1059 for 1,059 yards. Deckers goes to him early, often, and then he does to him some more. 97 receptions is what this dude has.
He's like one of the tops in the country. So this is like the air raid. This is Michael Crabtree. What is this?
Yeah. So Deckers, just looking at the stats, has 267 completions total. So that means one out of every three passes, more than one out of every three passes, goes to Hutchinson.
Go to Hutchinson. Yeah, Hutchinson leads the country in catches. He's 10 above Jones at Purdue with 97 to 87. And he's definitely way outdone Jalen Hyatt for Tennessee, who only has 58. So, yeah. But I think this is the bad part about that is 10.9 yards a catch.
It's not very much. And he's got some pretty key drops. He had that key drop against Texas. And his boy last week, Neal, the other receiver, he had the same thing.
Yep.
So here's what I'm saying. The reason why I bring this up is they got no running game, none. They are 10th in the Big 12 in rushing. They are awful. They don't. Deckers, God bless America. Anytime he takes off, every single person grabs their head and just hopes to God that he holds on to the football because he likes giving it up. And so I just say this is. I see this game as one of those maybe 24-14 games. Iowa State is going to win, I believe. I think
all from defense
throws a 0 out there. I think that we may see a failure on special teams and then a defensive touchdown. So when I say 24-14, I'm not talking about all offense. I'm thinking that there's some mess ups, and I don't know if it's you win it in a special team situation. But with that being at home, Iowa State. Matt Campbell, this could be his job interview for one of these open jobs because there's about 2 weeks away before Auburn, Nebraska, Wisconsin, all these jobs start getting filled up, and he might be saying, all right, maybe it's time for me to, get the heck out of Dodge.
It's like, guys, I think it's time for me to go ahead and step away. It's been great. I mean, they're still the best defense in the Big 12. Yeah. Rushing, they're number one, averaging only giving up 105 a game. Passing, they're only giving up 175. The only team in the Big 12 giving up under 200 yards in passing in it. And in total, 280, which is the only team giving up less than 300. So their defense is there. They're cooking. And you mentioned this, that offensively, Texas Tech averages like 300 yards passing a game. They're not going to be able to pass on this team, period. That's the one thing that Matt Campbell's defenses are really good at doing. They ain't going to let you pass. But when it comes to running, Tech ain't that much better than Iowa State. Now, Iowa State has averaged 100 yards a game, which is the lowest, really bad. And they only have 9 rushing touchdowns. They're the only team that doesn't have double-digit touchdowns in the Big 12, which is bad. And everybody else has at least double. But Tech is only at 20 touchdowns and 156 yards a game. So, honestly, this could, like you said, this could be the 17-14 or the 10-3. This could be a Iowa score. We may actually see the Iowa touchdown in this game. For those that don't know what the Iowa touchdown is, the Iowa Hawkeyes scored 7 points in the game without scoring a touchdown. They got a field goal and 2 safeties. So there's a good chance this could do the same thing. It could be a safety, a field goal, and then a turnover at 2-point conversion, and they score just like Oklahoma did against West Virginia last week. This game. So I'm gonna call on this one. I think Iowa State is this one. I'm gonna say 17-10. Actually, I say 14-10. 14-10. I think this is going to be an extremely low scoring game. The over under set at like 45 points. I don't think it gets anywhere near that. What you got?
24-14. I'm still sticking there.
Still going to stick to
again, it. And I
well,
think
that's a good number for the over under. So yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 touchdowns in there that don't come from offense.
Defensive touchdowns. You know what? You're right. I'm sticking to 14-10 though. Hop in the comments yours. It's a game we're going to jump into. West Virginia, Kansas State. This is going to be a big one up there in Manhattan, Kansas. It's like the state of Kansas is going to be busy. They've got Tech Town. They're going to have Virginia Town. It's just everything you could dream of for the Big 12, something that they all want. So, know how I feel about this game outside of Kansas State should beat the brakes off of them. Unless JT Daniels doesn't play. Now, the question is West Virginia done with JT Daniels? It feels like they are, especially what Green did to Oklahoma. Yeah. There's no reason for you to ever go back to him at this. Just play the young and just go forward and pray for the best. But this is also Neil Brown, know what the hell thinking or what things are going through his brain. I'm sorry, this game is actually in Morgantown. This is not in Manhattan. So I have it written correctly. I just read wrong. So Kansas State traveling out there, that they go out there and they cover this 7.5. They just beat the brakes off of them. I'm gonna say, I'm going to give you my score now. I'm gonna say 44-10. What you got?
I think that it doesn't matter what's going to happen. Whether they sit JT, for the young kid, he's not going to do to Kansas State what he was doing to Oklahoma. That's on film now, so it doesn't matter at this point. If he does, he gets hurt. You bring JT Daniels back in. He's ineffective. You release Will Howard and you say, all right, buddy, it's yours now. Go get ready. This is your non-conference game. We're looking to Dallas here. I will go with this game. Just really doesn't have a lot because, again, I think that the weather played a factor. I think that self-inflicted mistakes played a factor in this past week. We didn't get to do the recap, just you and I. But my thoughts on this past week is OU played the game that they would have to play to lose to West Virginia. It wasn't West Virginia winning the game. And to be honest with you, I see this as, something kind of like you just said. I see this a 42-10 win for Kansas State.
Okay. I don't think there's much else to say about this game. So hop in the comments. Let us know what your prediction is for this game. We want to hear from you all for each one of them. You've got the Baylor TCU game, Kansas, Texas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and then the West Virginia, Kansas State game. Give us your score predictions. Love to hear from you all. Hit the like, subscribe button while you're here. And we're going to chop it up, of course, soon. Peace.